Hey there. I just finished watching Felgar 517's top 5 comedy series picks. Awesome, and if you haven't subbed to Felgar's channel, I suggest you go over and sub to it right now and then come back and watch this video. Now, I'm watching a lot of list videos lately, and recently Film Game Junkies asked me what I would pick as my top 5 science fiction fantasy films. Well, I started to go through my science fiction fantasy films to see what my top 5 would be, and I couldn't quite do it. So here, without further ado, is a list that may go into 2 parts, and that is my top 23 science fiction fantasy films, in no particular order. We're going to start with Terror Vision. Terror Vision is a really cheesy-ass, fun monster movie, twisted little slice of just fantastically fun film. Great acting, great actors, some real great cult stuff. Soundtrack on this is really cool, and the effects are actually pretty damn decent for a low-budget film. And Terror Vision comes in on the list. Next up is one that took me a while to get into, and was definitely a different type of movie, and it's a Tim Burton film, and that is Mars Attacks. Mars Attacks was fun. A lot of people were disappointed by Mars Attacks. They thought, I guess it's kind of hard to take a trading cards and make it into a movie. But it was a fun cast, a lot of big name stars just doing some cheesy, fun little Tim Burton-esque stuff, and nobody took themselves too seriously. And hey, Tom Jones saves the day, so Mars Attacks makes it to the list. Next up is a more serious one for me, one that has always been a favorite of mine ever since I was a kid, and that would be the original Planet of the Apes. Yeah, I love this film. Roddy McDowall's amazing in this, and Kim Hunter, Charlton Heston, Maurice Evans. I'm just blown away by the cast here in this film, and the makeup. Makeup in this is amazing, and I don't think it's ever been duplicated, like to actually work the way that did. When they tried to make it into real apes in the Tim Burton remake, it really sucked ass. And I like the rise of the Planet of the Apes, but this is the way the Planet of the Apes should be. This is the way they should look. Get it right, guys. If you don't, everything doesn't have to be ultra realistic or have to look exactly like the apes. It's science fiction, for Christ's sakes. Come on, let it be science fiction. Next up is one that hasn't been around that long, but I consider it already a classic, and that would be Dark City. Dark City is a fun dystopian style sci-fi film that's just really twisted and amazing and incredible, and with a cast that cannot be beat. Rufus Sewell, Kiefer Sutherland, Jennifer Connelly, Richard O'Brien, Ian Richardson, and William Hurt. If Fritz Lang was alive today, he would love Dark City. There's a lot of German expressionism in this here. It's very much a product of earlier times, of metropolises and just the whole feel and look and paranoia. It's such a wonderful film. I don't know, I haven't upgraded to Blu-ray on this one. I really should. And it's film noir meets science fiction, and it's so underrated. If you don't have this film in your collection, shame on you, because you really should. Dark City. Next up, Dream Quest, the other nightmare film. Dennis Quaid and Max von Sydow star in this extremely trippy sci-fi horror fantasy film about basically big dream agents, guys that can get into your dreams and affect what's going on, with one guy that actually wants to cause a nuclear holocaust. Yeah, long before Inception, Dreamscape. Next up, this one borders mostly on fantasy, and it's actually a Lucio Fulci film. And a lot of people give it crap, but I like it. I think it's fun. And I got a t-shirt of it too. It's Conquest. Conquest is it's just a really fun fantasy film. It's got a great score by Claudio Simonetti, and I gotta say, I really enjoyed this movie. I can't really exactly explain why or what I enjoyed about this movie, but I just really liked it. I thought it was a solid fantasy film. It did a good job, and it was, you know, surreal. Of course, it's Italian, but it's some great stuff, and I recommend you just give it a try. Check it out. You know, maybe it's not your cup of tea, but I enjoyed it. Next up is another fave of mine, and this is Fantastic Voyage, and I love this film. This is a long-time favorite of mine since I was a kid, and great cast. You know, Raquel Welch, beautiful as ever. Donald Pleasance. Everybody knows the story of Fantastic Voyage. Basically, they miniaturize and go inside of a scientist to try and save them, but there's someone inside that's actually trying to sabotage them. It's a really, really cool film. I love it. I love the visuals. I thought it was extremely well done. I don't think that it's been topped in any other version that's been done. Though I did have fun with Inner Space. I don't have the movie, so it's not here, with Dennis Quaid and Martin Short. No, it's a strange film, but I liked it. Next up is, well, the original Starship Troopers. It was cheesy as fun. It didn't reinvent anything. It didn't try to. It wasn't that serious a film. It was a giant bug movie, Marines fighting them in space. And that's what it was. It wasn't trying to be anything more than that. And it did a good job of being not more than that. Next up is a classic that I don't have to say much about, and that is 2001, Stanley Kubrick. Love this film, love the visuals. I do find it a little long sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you. When I was really young, this was not one that I could always get through. And the baby at the end creeped the hell out. Oh, I apologize there, but it's kind of late at night, and I am wanting to get this video done. The visuals on this are amazing. The score on this film is phenomenal. I'm big on film scores, by the way, guys, so I may do a video on some of that stuff later on. This particular edition of it is actually pretty good. They got some really great documentaries. On a sci-fi fantasy, and this kind of just went in under the wire. I wasn't really sure where to put it, because I know it's a lot of people would consider it horror, but for certain aspects, I do consider it fantasy, and that is Cat People. Of course, this is the 80s version with Natasha Kinski and Malcolm McDowell. And I met Malcolm McDowell in person. He's a really great guy. John Hurd's in this, and O'Toole, of course, beautiful as ever. Great film. Very unique, very different. Would you put this on a fantasy or sci-fi list? You go horror? I don't know. I'm second guessing myself. So this is an alternate. We'll say it's an alternate. Next up, is Ray Harryhausen classic, and I really, really love this. And it's the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad. I am a fan of the Sinbad films, but there's two in particular that are on this list because I just really enjoyed the way they were done. Special effects in these, and I'll bring up the other one because it's the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. It's two of the three classic films. Love them both. This one here has, of course, Tom Baker as an evil wizard, and I love my Doctor Who, and to see him playing the bad guy was completely awesome. Kellen Monroe's in this one. John Philip Lossar's in this one. And of course, Kerr Matthews does this one here. This is my favorite of the two, but both of these, seriously, they're props. They have some great special effects, some great monsters in both of these here, so I couldn't leave either one off the list. Next up is a classic Nicholas Roeg film, and it is one that I really enjoy. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's definitely mine. I picked it up a while back for my better half, because she's a huge fan of David Bowie, and I'm glad I did, because it is a really, really good film, actually, and that is The Man Who Fell to Earth. If you haven't seen it, it's really worth checking out. David Bowie, Kenny Clark, Rip Torn, Buck Henry, great visuals in this film. Of course, it's got a really cool soundtrack. The Criterion did a version of this. This is the Anchor Bay version. Either way, good. Next up is Galaxy of Terror. I've spoke about this one a few times, so I'm not going to get really too much into it anymore. It's just a fun, nightmarish science fiction film produced by Corman, directed by Bruce Clark, and has some great old school casts that I really, really enjoy, and this is one hell of a film. I loved it. Next up is one that definitely hits the science fiction one, and that is Leviathan. Like nice and take a cover. Not a film for everybody, but one that I really liked. Peter Weller did a great job in this film. This is very much the monster film. Amanda Pays, Daniel Stern, Ernie Hudson, Richard Crenna, Hector Elizondo. Great cast. Just had a lot of fun with this film. It's like it's one of the underwater ones, and I don't know. I've always liked it. Again, it's one of those. Can't quite explain it, but definitely goes on my list. And maybe I did some movie, I guess. Clash of the Titans, the original, one of my favorite films from when I was a kid. This is the movie that played for my 12th birthday party. So, released the Kraken. That was a horrible version of that. Next up is probably one of the only animated ones in the set of list, and that is Fantasia. The original Fantasia is a beautiful, fantastic fantasy film, and Night on Bald Mountain is horrific in the best of ways, and I mean that in the greatest of ways. And of course, The Sorcerer's Apprentice. This Fantasia here is one of the greatest fantasy films, bar none. Next up is a fun sci-fi film that I really liked, and that is They Live. Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper did a great job in this one here. It's a film that is way better than it should be. Can't say enough good about this film, so I won't right now. Next up is one, pure cheese. And you want pure cheese, you want horrifically horrible cheese, fun stuff. There's one film that comes to mind more than any other, Night of the Lepus. Night of the Lepus stars Stuart Whitman, Janet Leigh, Rory Calhoun, and of course Bones himself is in this. So, giant bunny rabbits. Seriously, it's about giant bunny rabbits. One of the classic film noir sci-fi movies of all time, one of the greatest, is Blade Runner. Blade Runner, of course, has had many, many editions out there, and it did have the big Blu-ray edition, but unfortunately that got lost or taken by somebody in my move, so I no longer have that. Or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, which both I'm sad about. But Blade Runner, amazing film. Next up is Flash Gordon, the 1980 Sam Jones vehicle. With, again, we got Max von Sydow in here, don't we? Yes, we do, as Emperor Ming. A really fun, cheesy one. Great Queen soundtrack. I enjoyed this movie. It is, I like a lot of the cheesy stuff, so it's on my list. There are two more to go, and I'm going to get them in one video. Next up is Stargate. Great movie. Became an even better TV series. I enjoyed this. Saw this in theater. I've seen this many times. I think I have this on DVD and Blu-ray, so Stargate. Last but not least, and some people may disagree with this, but I really found that I liked it a lot, and it's A Scanner Darkly. It's an animated film. It kind of throws me back to almost like I hate to say this, but in a Ralph Bakshi style way. It just is a really cool, twisted film, and it's really worth checking out. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you do. It's a great film. And that's my top 23 list. Right now it's time for tea because I've come to the end of how far I can go on this one here, time-wise. Thanks a lot, and great job, guys.